against the encroaching darkness. As he rounded a bend in the path, his horse suddenly reared back, snorting in terror. Before him, shrouded in the gathering gloom, stood a figure. Its clothes were torn and mud-stained, its face pale and drawn. The figure raised a hand, beckoning the pastor closer.
"Peace be upon you. Who are you and what troubles you?"
The figure looked at the pastor, its eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and urgency.
"I am the spirit of Samuel Hargrave. Murdered I was for the gold I had saved. My widow knows not of my fate nor of the danger she is in."
"Tell me, who has done this evil deed? What message do you have for your widow?"
"Beware Thomas Billings, my own brother-in-law. He covets my wealth and will stop at nothing to possess it. Warn my beloved Mary, she's in grave danger."
Section 6. Foul Play. Days turned into weeks, and Samuel Hargrave's disappearance became the talk of the village. Suspicions grew, and whispers of foul play began to circulate. The pastor, bound by his encounter with the ghost, watched Thomas Billings closely. He observed the greed that flickered in the man's eyes, the way he hovered around the grieving widow. Then, tragedy struck again. The widow Hargrave was found murdered in her own home. The murder was brutal and calculated, her valuables missing. All evidence pointed to Thomas Billings. The pastor, horrified but resolute, knew he had to act. He had to ensure that justice, even if it meant revealing his ghostly encounter, was served. The trial of Thomas Billings was a spectacle that drew crowds from neighboring villages. The evidence against him was circumstantial, but the pastor's testimony would prove to be the turning point. He took the stand, his voice echoing through the hushed courtroom.
"I tell you, before God, I saw him. I spoke with the spirit of Samuel Hargrave."
He described his encounter with Samuel Hargrave's ghost in chilling detail. The judge, a man of logic and reason, listened intently, his face an impassive mask. The jury, however, was visibly shaken. The pastor's words painted a vivid picture of the spectral encounter, his sincerity impossible to ignore. The courtroom erupted in gasps and murmurs as Pastor Gerald recounted the ghost's message, his pleas for justice, and his warnings about Thomas Billings. He emphasized the ghost's detailed description of his own murder and the hiding place of the stolen valuables.
"I tell you, before God, I saw him. I spoke with the spirit of Samuel Hargrave. He seeks justice and his blood cries out from the ground."
The impact of the pastor's testimony was undeniable. The jurors, initially skeptical, were now convinced of Thomas Billings' guilt. The evidence, coupled with the chilling testimony of a man of God, was too compelling to ignore. The judge, though clearly unsettled by the supernatural elements of the case, could not deny the weight of the evidence presented. Thomas Billings was found guilty of the murders of Samuel and Mary Hargrave, a monument to the enduring spirit of those who seek justice, even in death. The foggy cemetery, with its silent sentinels of stone, became a place of reverence and reflection. And it cemented Pastor Gerald Thompson's legacy as not only a man of God, but also a chronicler of the unseen, forever bound to the spectral realm. In the dimly lit church, where shadows danced and the air was thick with the scent of incense, Pastor Gerald found solace in his role as a bridge between worlds. The mysterious figure that sometimes appeared in the church at night was a reminder that the line between the living and the dead is often blurred, and that justice, in its truest form, knows no boundaries.